Hello, my name is Richard Stockwell. I'm presenting Digital Problem Solving Towards Pedagogy and Practice for ELLs. So the purpose here is we had this wonderful survey course. My concern mainly was with ELLs and them acquiring digital literacy, or how that can help them be English proficient, right? And best practices for those ELL students, right? The main problem here is this is a really broad topic. So in order to narrow that down, I looked specifically at digital problem solving. So we grappled with the definition of digital literacy. It's usually using technology and analyzing information. This is a really broad definition because digital literacy is actually multiple competencies, right? That led to myself, right, writing digital literacy and what do I really mean by digital literacy? And then I'd read some peer work and say, what do they mean by digital literacy? Are we really talking about the same thing? Sometimes I think that we were talking about totally different things. So we got to narrow down this digital literacy into a single competency. Which one of these competencies is going to be most useful to the classroom teacher, and which one of these digital literacies is going to be most useful to the student or the ELL? And I think that competency is digital problem solving. You've got a new technology. How are we going to use it? How does it work? I've got this old technology. It's not functioning right. What are we going to do? I've got all these technologies that I want to incorporate. How are they going to work together? How are they going to work in concert? How are the students going to use them? Right? These are all problems for the digital problem solver to come up with solutions. So, pedagogy for the digital problem solver. Right? First of all, beware of over-reliance on technology. I always have that veteran teacher in the back of my head. Oh, this is a great lesson, but what are you going to do if the internet goes out? Okay, so you've got to embrace flexibility. Things that you've got to be able to change on the fly. Technologies are going to work in ways that you didn't think they were. They're not going to function the right way. You've got to be ready for that kind of stuff. Identifying hazards. So some technologies have some really good stuff and some really bad pitfalls, right? For me, my example in my paper is going to be social media, right? Yeah, okay, the students are communicating, but also we have this really big problem of privacy issues, okay? So the digital problem solver has got to be able to manage these things and decide, is this technology worth implementing in the classroom or not? Combination. Technologies are going to need to be combined, right? That's probably one of the main tenets of digital problem solving. They've got to be combined and used in concert for instructional purposes. Also, educators and learners are going to have to work in combination. Now, our net generation students are adept at technology, and they figure out ways to use the technology that maybe us as teachers hadn't thought of or hadn't considered before. We have to create a co-learning space where we're learning from each other, right? And that's part of digital problem solving. Okay, I'm a little bit weak on this competency. What can the students teach me, right? Because and certainly the students are looking at the educator like, okay, what do you have to offer me, right? So we have to have this co-learning space. That's the educators and learners working in combination. Digital problem solver is practice for ELL. So we've got a unique challenge here. We've got these ELL students that need to acquire English proficiency and also digital literacy. And then we have the gen ed students that maybe are English proficients, but how can we serve them while working in concert with the ELLs, right? Because the number of ELLs is trending upwards. It's not going down. And we're getting more and more ELLs in general education classrooms where they're expected to perform at the level of their native speaking peers. So where's the overlap here? What practices can we use to supplement both populations that are also equally diverse? Memeing. So you take an image and you superimpose some text, right? That's very good, especially if you, in the beginning where you work with, very basic pictures, emotional pictures, right? Smiling, really happy, and then imposing some text in there. That's really useful for ELL students. And gradually you model, first of all, and then gradually you work your way up to more academic memes. Audio blogging. So instead of writing, right, we have our ELL speaking and talking about academic content. Now, we might worry, right, well, we don't want our gen ed students just talking about the content. Wrong. I think, right, while our gen ed students might be English proficient, they are not academically English proficient. And so they need practice too, talking academically about things. And also, right, this audio blog, I think a good function here is the feedback loop. I have seen gen ed students record themselves and practice what they say, and then they go back and they say, "Wow, I could do that better," and they try it again. And like, "Oh, well, I did this well, but I'm going to try this. I'm try this way, right?" So there's that feedback loop that's automatically built into audio blogging that is really useful, right, for our students to practice mastery. Lastly, digital jump starts I think are really good. They're about providing background information to our ELL students, right? They're coming from a foreign country. They don't know some of these things about our history and the way that our culture and society functions. And so it's kind of like a moving meme, right? They've got pictures, maybe some music, some superimposed literacy, but that's also good for our gen ed students, who are also a diverse group of students and might not have all the background information they need to be successful in the academic classroom. So some conclusions here, right? Digital problem solvers got to have a growth mindset. They've got to get better professionally, solving problems, and they've got to get their students better every day, working on solving digital problems. You've got to learn from setbacks, right? Like I said, you got to be flexible. Things are not always going to go the way that you anticipate them, and sometimes they might go pretty badly. But it's about learning from those setbacks and changing what you need, chopping and changing to make something effective. I think video games have a bright future in the general ed class, in classrooms in general, which is not something that I would have said 8 weeks ago. For sure, I would have said no way for video games. But I think there's a bright future. They're a little bit more specialized though, and so maybe they're not quite ready to do what the digital problem solver wants. But the digital problem solver always needs to present opportunities for students to perform in multimodal, multimedia backgrounds. So our students are picking up all these digital problem solving skills, and they're going to have to implement them in a multimodal way. And the teacher needs to be open to new experiences and students performing in different ways than anticipated. Thanks.